it is.
It's like my body and soul are being healed.
Wow, look! It's really working! More words have appeared on the paper! Let Paimon see what The story says that after the plagiarized words in the poem became...
You see, Paimon, in the past, when printing was not yet well developed, to ensure the text lasted longer, they'd either write using a special ink. Such special inks are time-consuming and laborious to produce. However, since Akihito's poetry collection was an important gift to be presented to the shogun, surely one of those... But as for the plagiarized poems, not only would they lack Akihito's seal, but the words would also react differently when exposed to liquid.
Which...
Yes, it appears that this is the truth at Sumizome's story. Although the story is saddening, I've decided on the subject. Kazuha, Ayaka, would you be willing to be...
I would be delighted.
Yes, as would I.
There you go! The next 2 portraits should be ready in no time!
Yes. And now that all 4...
Long ago, Inazuma had 5 legendary poets. People bestowed upon them the title of the 5 Kasen.
One year, the poet Suiko made his way to Tenshukaku and presented the Kasen's work for the shogun's perusal. But a page from the works of Aoi no Okina had been torn out, and Suiko was questioned regarding the matter. Suiko pleaded guilty. He admitted to drinking at the tavern the night before, and vaguely recalled a mysterious figure approaching while he was intoxicated.
That figure was none other than Aoi no Okina himself. This turn of events had begun with an unnamed individual, under whose coercion Aoi no Okina was forced to take drastic measures to retrieve a page of poetry. He knew nothing of this individual's true intentions. All he knew was that the poem had to do with an old acquaintance, Akahito.
Akahito had once belonged to the 5 Kasen. Each poem he composed, he marked with a scarlet red seal, hence the Aka in his name. Such a distinguished writer was he, and yet one of the poems he had submitted the previous year was found to be plagiarized. Akahito was exiled for his crimes, and only 4 of the 5 Kasen remained.
Sumizome went over Akihito's poems and noticed that the plagiarized poem lacked his seal. She immersed his poetry in a stream nearby, and only on the plagiarized poem did the ink run. Aoi no Okina passed by and witnessed Sumizome's doing, which he then recorded in a poem. Thus transpired the events of Suiko's poetry submission, and this is where the story comes to an end.
Enjoy the blessing. Crowdsourcing competition is now
Yeah. Ever since we completed the story of the 5 Kasen, one of the 5 Kasen is called Kuranushi, right? It's just that, how could the story of the 5 Kasen finish without him appearing at all?
Oh, have you really not noticed?
Huh? Not noticed what? be playing games, Tone Deaf Bard!
What he means is that the story of Kuronushi was already embedded within the 4 poems.
Huh? Really?
That's right. The key lies in the poem that Aoi no Okina wrote after seeing Sumizome rinsing the poetry collection. An average person could never understand the scene of a young girl washing Akahito's poetry collection. Even Aoi no Okina couldn't figure out the meaning behind Sumizome's actions. He was simply reminiscing. However, for the perpetrator who framed, he was worried that if this poem was seen by the shogun, then the shogun could discover the truth. So, in desperation, he threatened Aoi no Okina to make him tear out this poem.
Which means the one who threatened Aoi no Okina is the same person that framed... What?
That's right. Though there are only 4 poems, they still managed to tell. Since the shogun mentioned in the poems is certainly not the one of the 5 kasen, the only character left is the mysterious one with an unknown identity.
Oh, okay. Paimon is finally starting to get it now.
However, this also brings something else to mind. The story of the 5 kasen has more or less reflected everything that's been happening around us lately. Which begs the question...
A Kuronushi?
Speaking of which, I wonder if our dear Kazuha...
Oh, right! Kazuha! Your special edition drinks! Hey, Kazuha! Are you okay? You've been...
Apologies for making a wild assumption.
Yes. A few things did come to mind, actually. I don't mind sharing the stories.
Hey! We're all friends here, Kazuha.
Kaidehara, please forgive my assumption, but
The Raiden Gokuden?
It appears that Miss Kamisato and I were thinking of the same thing. But it also has much to do with the Yashiro Commission. It would be improper to speak of it here without the consent of Miss Kamisato.
it's fine. Those of us here are all trustworthy. However, this matter is somewhat complicated and may be difficult to explain. Let me start with As you all know, the Yashiro Commission's primary the Raiden Gokuden were once the top 5 schools of the forging art in Inazuma. Although these families were swordsmiths by craft, they also held many important positions. Unfortunately, of the 5, only the Amenoma art still maintains its artisan lineage. The descendants of the Ishin art are none other than the
Whoa! We knew Kazuha came from a noble family, but we had
Yes, but that's all part of the past now. My grandfather was dissatisfied with my great-grandfather's lack of effort. When he was young, my grandfather traveled all over Teyvat to find a way to revive the family business. And in my generation, our last remaining family property was lost as well.
I heard my elder brother mention that the decline of the Raiden Gokuden happened very rapidly. In the span of a few decades, later, there was speculation that all of these misfortunes stemmed from some background machinations. However, since not every family of the Raiden Gokuden came to ruin...
Indeed. I've also believed such ideas were just theory. However, I know that a major incident happened to my great-grandfather. Not only did it affect the Kaedehara clan, but it nearly jeopardized the Kamisato clan's position in the Yashi. After reading the story of the 5 kasen, I can't help but feel like it's pointing me toward the truth behind that incident.
What exactly happened to your great-grandfather, Kazuha?
I still can't say. I need to speak with someone. I will tell you everything I...
What's the point of this
Welcome
story
home,
again?
almighty Shogun.
Make sure you get in line early to buy your special edition drinks!